If you're a successful man who's finally ready for a relationship, you're about to get a worse deal than you've ever gotten in your life, and you probably don't even realize it. Everyone around you told you to work hard, build your career, become the man women want, and eventually you'll meet a good woman and settle down. But today the math has completely inverted. Women don't even need your money anymore. So in this video, I'm going to break down why the dating scene is so broken, how the game has changed, and the three-part framework that shows you how to have a genuine relationship with a top-tier woman on your terms in this new era of dating. Now, let's start with the broken part because until you understand exactly how the math stopped working, you won't know why the old strategy ultimately fails. The entire dating market flipped in the last few decades. Young women now make more money than men in big cities. More women own homes than single men, and your career success isn't that special. It's almost expected. Meanwhile, at the top, there's a huge imbalance. In New York City alone, for example, roughly 2 million single women are competing for about 40,000 high status men. And here's the kicker, those men have zero reason to commit because sex is easier than ever, while real commitment is harder than it's ever been. Now, you might be thinking, great, I'm one of those high status men. I have the power, but that's exactly where this gets dangerous because what happens at the top affects every woman you'll meet, and it shows up in three brutal ways. This creates what I call the triple valuation crisis. Firstly, social media convinced average woman they're eights and nines when they're literally fives and sixes. Secondly, she genuinely believes she deserves a guy who's 6'2", earns 200,000 or more, is emotionally available, and also ready to commit. And thirdly, what she's actually offering is average looks, an average career, and a high body count, and often a bad attitude shaped by years of casual dating with men way out of her league. The timeline shows everything. From 20 to 29, she dates the highest value guys she can get, but only casually because those men don't even want to commit to her. Then at 30 plus, when her options shrink and her biological clock starts ticking, she suddenly wants commitment. But here's the brutal part. She wants top dollar pricing for a product that's been going down in value. She spent her best years giving casual access to men who would never marry her. And now she expects you, a man who would have been ignored when she was 24, to give her the commitment those men never gave her. And that math problem, it's not just about her. It's about what it does to you when you finally understand it. Because here's the irony of it. You probably spent your 20s working on yourself, building your career, developing actual skills, and becoming the kind of man women said they wanted. You built freedom of choice, access to multiple women. And now that you finally have it in some way, she wants you to give it all up for way less than what you can get casually. And this is where successful men mess up in the dumbest way possible. They worked 10 years to build power, and then the moment a woman asks for commitment, they give away all that power for free. They literally become relationship contractors. You see, architects have a vision. They design the building they want to create. They know what they're building before the first client walks through that door. Contractors, what do? They just ask clients, what do you want me to build? And do whatever someone else tells them. And this is exactly what happens when successful men finally get options with women. They walk up to women saying, tell me what you want and I'll build it for you. You want a family? I'll build that. Want to travel the world? I'll do that. Want to stay child free and focus on careers? I'll build that too. Just please tell me what plan will make you choose me. And here's why this fails so terribly. Women are attracted to architects. These are men with vision, confidence, and the guts to build something very specific. The moment you hand her the plans and ask what she wants, you've shown her you're just a contractor and nobody dreams of marrying someone who just accommodates them. Think about it. When was the last time someone fantasized about the person who just does whatever they're told? Almost never, because there's no vision, no leadership, no backbone. It's just desperate flexibility pretending to appear like compatibility. And the brutal irony of it is even if she tells you exactly what she wants and you build it perfectly, whether that's the family, the house, the lifestyle, everything. She's going to resent you for it because deep down, she didn't want a contractor who asked her for her plan. She wanted a man whose vision is strong enough that she felt almost compelled to join in and chip into it. So, what does being the architect actually mean? It means you have a clear destination for your life, not whatever she wants or whatever is flexible depending on who I meet, but an actually real concrete plan. That means where you're building your life, so location, lifestyle, and values, what you're building it around, so career, family setup, and purpose. And thirdly, how you're building it, so your deal breakers, your standards, and your timeline. And here's the key, you tell her all of this up front, but not as a threat of some sort, but as key information. This is what I'm building, this is where I'm going. If that excites you, you can join in. If not, no hard feelings, but I'm going to continue building it either way because I already have done so. You see, the woman who's right for you, she will recognize this vision you have and want to be part of it. The woman who's wrong, she'll try to hand you a different plan. And that's when you know you have to walk away. Now, that's step one is refusing to be a contractor, but knowing you should have a vision and actually being an actual real architect are two completely different things. And that brings us to the three challenges you have to master. The first challenge is building a life worth joining. This isn't about having more money. You already have career success. This is about creating a lifestyle people want to join. And here's the key thing most men miss here. Your career success is not your lifestyle. Your career is what you do. Your lifestyle is the experience someone has when they enter your world. So check your life honestly. If a woman entered your world today, what would she actually experience? Is your apartment set up just for you, or is it welcoming to other people? Are you really good at something that creates respect, not just career skills, but things that make people admire you? Do you have cool experiences, interesting friends, fun activities? Because I have money and stability is just the basics. What you need is my life is an adventure she wants to be a part of. If you're not getting the options your position should give you, the problem is somewhere in how you're showing your life to the world. The second challenge is learning to actually sell the vision. Here's what you need to hear. You avoided learning this your entire life because career success didn't really need it. But now it's costing you everything. Seduction or game or whatever you want to call it is the ability to create and direct sexual desire. It's not about looks because ugly people attract all the time. It's about creating and building sexual tension based on a very specific purpose. It's about approaching, engaging, and compelling a yes or no, not just living in maybes forever. And then there's frame management, or you could say the reality out of which you proceed, the structure of the deal that he actually set up. Think of it like the contract between architect and client. You set the terms at the start. This is the vision, this is the timeline, and this is what I'm building. And that frame will be tested constantly throughout the project. Your job is to simply hold it firm, but with a little give, like wood rather than concrete, right? But better to be too rigid than too flexible because the moment you start redesigning halfway through based on every client's request, you're back to being a contractor, which you don't want to do. The third challenge is committing to your plan. This is the one that matters more than anything else because without a clear life purpose, a real vision, you're just drifting, reacting to events rather than creating them. You're a contractor waiting for the next project. Your plan is not up for negotiation. Clients can hire you or not, but the type of buildings you design doesn't change based on who walks through the door. Same with your life. You have a 5 to 10 year vision that exists whether you're in a relationship or not. Your career path, your projects, your growth, all of it is set and non negotiable. Women can make this journey better or not, but they don't redirect it elsewhere. Because here's the reality People who become architects don't just walk away from their life's work for someone else's preference or convenience. You don't pour your heart and soul into building your vision, just abandon it the moment someone asks you to design something completely different. So the test is simple. Do you have a plan that exists whether she's there or not? Can you explain your 5 to 10-year vision in clear terms? And are you willing to lose her rather than compromise that? Because if the answer to any of those is no, you're still operating like a contractor. Now, once you've built the life worth joining, learn to sell the vision and committed to your plan, something powerful happens. The entire dynamic flips. You stop being judged and you start judging, which brings us to the selection strategy. Now, once you've mastered those challenges, you've become a selector. So you're the one selecting. You're checking if women are right for a very specific project. Think about how architects choose clients versus how desperate contractors work, right? Contractors take anyone who'll pay. Architects, they're actually picky because a bad client can ruin an entire project, drain your energy, and mess up your whole vision. Same thing applies here. And here's the economics that makes this work. Since a client can only work with one architect at a time on a major project, they do massive research before committing. But since an architect can talk to multiple potential clients at once, you only need to do enough checking to make sure you're not taking on a disaster. She's doing more research than you are, and that's exactly how it should be. Now, here's where most men mess this up. They create an impossible checklist. She needs to be this tall, makes this much money, have this degree, share these exact hobbies, and then they wonder why they're still alone. Remember this rule: the more you want what other people want, the more you must be prepared to give. Demanding unnecessary things is the fastest way to price yourself out of the market. So keep your checking criteria minimal and mission critical. Can she be a good client? Does she support your vision? Or is she trying to compete with it? Because two architects on one project is usually a disaster. You don't need another architect. You need someone who sees your vision and wants to help build it. Secondly, is she a good long term choice? If you're thinking about serious commitment like marriage and kids, is she someone you'd actually want to build that project with? Thirdly, does she make your life better or distract from your plan? This is the kill shot because your life should feel better with her in it. But if she's pulling you away from what you're building, that's a no brainer. And that's it. Don't look for someone with identical career success. That's a redundant skill set. Don't look for proof of your worth. Just look for someone who genuinely wants to be part of what you're building. When it comes to relationships, a man must pay in some way, shape, or form, whether that's through time, attention, or resources. The more a woman actually likes you, the bigger the discount she will give you. What this means in practice is that women demanding high investment upfront are actually showing you a low interest. But women who make it easy, show enthusiasm, and add value and investment in your life, that's high interest. It's a good signal. So stop rewarding low interest women with high investment. If she's interested, she's going to be low friction, she's going to have a high enthusiasm, and she's actively going to add value to your life. If she's not interested, she's going to do the complete opposite of that. So filter ruthlessly based on these. Because if she's making you work this hard just to get in the door, imagine how hard she'll make your work once you're committed. Within the first three conversations, you have to create situations where she has to prove herself to you in some way, shape, or form. Now, this doesn't have to happen explicitly, it's just an example of the kind of questions you have to consider as you move on into the relationship. Now, the psychology is simple here. You're showing that you have standards and she must meet them in some way, shape, or form because this sets the frame from day one. You don't want to be fake, but you want to fake your high standards until you've checked enough quality women that you make those standards automatic. The other part of it is watching her behavior in different situations. How does she treat people with less status? How does she talk about exes? What's her relationship with her father? How does she handle stress and disappointment? What's her track record? You don't have to obviously ask about her sexual history, but there will be inklings there and signs that you can take note of. And here's the pro move: you should travel together early on in the relationship because traveling together shows you how you both handle situational stress like delays, changes, and problems. If she melts down over a missed flight, imagine what happens when the real pressure hits, right? So that's very important. Now, you have to also, in some way, introduce her to friends and family. Let the people who actually care about you filter her. They see things you're usually blind to when you're attracted. And finally, you have to give it time. Let enough time pass for the distortion created by your initial attraction to clear itself out because lust makes everything look like the perfect client for the first 90 days. Once you see this pattern, you absolutely can't unsee it and it will change your life for the better in almost every way you can conceive. Now, you notice which men are architects and which are contractors. You'll see women testing your frame in the first conversation. You'll recognize when someone's showing high interest versus low interest. Most importantly, you stop giving away power you spent years and years building. So here's the recap. The math flipped. Women don't need your money, and most men respond by becoming contractors, asking a woman what they want and building it. But architects do three things differently. They refuse to give up the vision, they master the three challenges of building a life worth joining, and they ruthlessly check for the right client instead of accepting anyone who shows them interest. You worked too hard to give away your power for free. So learn to be the architect and build your vision. Let the right woman choose to join in. And if you want help finding your specific blocks and building this framework with personal guidance, I offer free strategy calls. You can click the first link in my bio and you can book a call with me directly. If you've enjoyed this video, you can also leave your questions down below. I'll be happy to answer them. And until then, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.